So I've noticed that a lot of players have been struggling with recovering in BlazBlue, and it can be kind of complicated, especially with how bad the tutorial covered it. I went through and I actually got to see just how little they explain everything. And Dust Loop can be a little bit complicated for players that aren't as accustomed with frame data. I've noticed that in the game, it gives you a basic understanding that you can recover in the game by holding a button, but it doesn't really explain what you're supposed to do. So that's why I'll be covering in this video. So I'd like to cover neutral teching first. You just hold a button as you get up off the ground, and you can see the button highlight up there on the screen. As soon as you get knocked down, just hold a button, you get up off the ground, and you're able to block. It's invincible for a little while. Let me show you a quick example. See, you get up off the ground, you're able to block immediately. Key difference between teching in this game and teching in other games, you want to hold the button to get up off the ground and then block. Because if you hold the block button and the tech button, you'll do a back recovery roll. And that can be bad in a lot of situations. So, for the next type of recovery I like to talk about the forward tech. They call it forward roll and other words that the community may use. But it's a quick roll forward. Example right here. And what it does is it allows your opponent to sometimes escape pressure, get a different position, get out of the corner. But it's not without its flaws. And I like to talk about the flaws. So, the downside to forward rolling in this game is this. If they catch your recovery, if they catch you trying to roll, which a lot of people will try to cover forward rolls, especially if they see you do it too much, what it will do then is they get a free combo. A lot of people have their own combos that they've labbed out, but newer players won't be able to stop it as well. But you should use it sparingly, because if they're able to catch it, you'll be punished for it. The next type of recovery I like to talk about is the back recovery. You can back roll on wake up, and you can do that by holding back and a button, as I explained with neutral teching. Example right here. And it's a good way to escape from pressure mid-screen away from your opponent, but it's also a good way to put yourself in the corner, as you see with my opponent right here. Any opponent that's good at covering the roll will, like with the forward roll, will also get a free combo as well. Or they get free pressure on wake up, and you're closer to the corner, and that may not be the best position for you. So use sparingly. So I'd like to talk about the next type of recovery, and it's the quick tech. For example, right here. As you can see, you get up off the ground quickly. It's a good way to mess with the timing of an opponent's meaties, and you can even still turn. However, you may still get punished if they're looking for that. And it's not a foolproof way of taking the turn. You should still block after doing a quick recovery. So, let's talk about the next type of technique. So, for this one, I want to talk about something a little bit more complex. Let me switch sides. So, for this one, I want to talk about delaying your tech. And the reason why you would want to delay your tech is it throws off your opponent's means. It can throw off setups, OK setups. It can throw off all types of things. And it allows you to either escape pressure from somebody autopiloting their setups, or it allows you to check and see if your opponent is paying attention to what you're doing. So let's see that as an example. I'm gonna make Hazma knock me down. See how the first attack missed? So that's a good example, and I could have DP'd in between the first hit and the second hit, and I could have gotten out of the pressure. So, but there's also another flaw to delaying your attack. You're not completely safe on the ground. You will get hit. If your opponent is watching for it, they'll hit you. And if they're doing ways, if they're just making sure when you're checking, like better opponents will check to make sure that you're not doing delay text by checking your recovery timing, and they'll still put you in some type of pressure. So it's always a good idea to mix up your recovery options. So next I want to cover air teching, and it's pretty simple. In this game you can, if you're holding the button in the air, in most cases you want to just hold the button so that you can recover out of a combo and block. But you may want to remember that you should bury a block in the air. Example. If I were to drop the combo, you see how Hazama recovered? If he didn't hold the button, I probably could have still gotten the combo, and I'll show you an example of that. So this time when I do the combo, I'm going to do the combo, and they're not going to recover. So watch this. See that 5 right there? It shows that you could have recovered because the combo is out. And in a lot of cases, you can also delay your timing with the aerial recoveries, just like you can on the ground recoveries, and you can mess up their recovery options. But you also have ways to back tech in the air, forward tech, just like you would in something like Guilty Gear or any other anime fighter that allows you to tech like that. So I'll show you an example of those real quick as well. It's not as complicated as ground teching, but it's still very important. So I'm going to show you a real quick air tech forward example. Just watch here. See that? My opponent was able to tech forward, but there's also a caveat to that as well. If I were to jump and try to follow them because I knew I dropped a combo, I could probably still pressure them in the air. But I'll show you the back tech as well. So this is a quick example of a back tech. See that? They were able to pop away, reset themselves to neutral. The downside to that, from what I know now, is that if they back tech, they're a little bit closer to the corner. They may be able to dash out, they may not, but if your opponent is able to keep up with what you're doing, they'll of course be able to cover that and you'll be in a bad position. So watch out how you use the different teching options. And if you tech backwards in the corner, then you're just really setting yourself up for failure right there anyway. So just be a little bit, cautious about how you're using your teching options. Like just pay attention to what you're doing so that you're not caught lacking, as people say.